Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I'm going to wait a couple of minutes before I get started with this live stream. I want to wait for people to tune in before I get started. And while we wait, I just want to make the usual announcements. I want to encourage you all um, to follow my Facebook page, New Possibilities. Also, I want to encourage you to follow me on Twitter at New Pos Blog. So you can follow me on Twitter at New Pos Blog, and that's POSS for POS. So yes, follow me on Twitter. Also, I want to encourage you all to like our book club page, Reading as Activism. Each month we read a book written by an African American or Black author. Uh, and, the books are usually fiction, to African Americans. It's about Black authors throughout the Black diaspora. Um, so I wanted to talk about this very important issue. Thanks for tuning in. Before I go ahead and get started, if someone could put a 7 in the chat room to let me know that the audio and the video is fine. I want to make sure that we put out a quality video before I go ahead and get started with this content. So if you can hear me fine, if you can see me fine, if there's no buffering or no issues with the audio, please throw a 7 in the chat room. I see we have a couple of people here. So if someone can let me know with a 7 that the audio is fine, I would appreciate it. Okay, I see. Shout out to Never See Come See. Thanks for letting me know that everything is fine. So let's get right into it. So yesterday, we received this alarming news, first of all, that the president, tested positive for COVID. And then, he's being airlifted to Walter Reed Hospital. So this is a very serious situation. Despite how the White House is trying to downplay the situation. According to the reports, Donald Trump had a fever. I think actually that was Friday that he had a fever. He had a fever. They said that he had some mild symptoms. He was feeling fatigue. And they say that out of an abundance of caution, they decided to have him go to the hospital. Now he's receiving like 3 different medicines. And this is a very serious situation. According to the reports, he said he was fatigued, but in good spirits. And also, the first lady has tested positive as well with COVID. So that is the situation. The president right now is at Walter Reed Hospital. Again, the doctors have a press conference not too long ago, a few minutes ago, where they were talking about things like the drop in his oxygen levels, even though they were downplaying things. This seems to be a very serious situation because the president needed to have oxygen assistance, so they had some device, not a ventilator, but they used some kind of device to help supplement the oxygen in his system because his oxygen dropped. Also, they have him on some very serious medication, like they have him on some medication that's designed to slow down the immune process. And the mere fact that they have him on this medicine is a huge sign. As the reporters have said, it's a red flag. It's a red flag for a serious situation. So this situation is serious, man. I mean, here you have an election going on, and you had a president of the United States in a hospital being airlifted. Like, people don't get airlifted to a top-notch medical facility if it's not a very serious situation. So, in response to this, a lot of people have shared their thoughts on social media. But before I get into what everyday average people are saying, Democrats or liberals and stuff are saying, I want to just talk about like the response of, these politicians. So Joe Biden, and his family issued prayers for Donald Trump. Joe Biden decided to take down all of his negative ads about Donald Trump in response to this situation. You have the Obamas issue a statement praying for Donald Trump to do well and to recover. So you have that political statements, those types of political statements and that type of political sentiment and just general concern for Donald Trump. You have a lot of celebrities, and if I'm not mistaken, Kanye West put out a statement praying for Donald Trump, and he also said that if it was Joe Biden, he would do the same in that situation. Now, in response to this situation, not only do you have these political figures making statements and, public figures like a Kanye West making statements, you have your average everyday people who are making statements as well on social media. Now, I saw a couple of memes on my Facebook, where you have a lot of people joking about this saying, won't he do it? And to me, when I first heard that, I was laughing, just like anybody else. And I think that was on Friday. And I can understand why they would say something like that. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But, there were remarks like that. And then a lot of people saying, is karma, coming back to Donald Trump? And, for those who aren't familiar with that term, won't he do it? That's something that you hear a lot of Christians say, like when they receive some blessings or they are taken out of a bad situation after praying on it. They say, won't he do it? Like it's their prayers are being answered, basically saying that God answers prayers and God's, carries out his will. And a lot of people see this as God carrying out his will when it comes to Donald Trump. And I understand why a lot of people are saying it. I understand why they're joking about it. And part of me was laughing along with a lot of the things that people were putting up on social media. But then when I saw that they were actually airlifting the president to Walter Reed, I had to look at this situation as more serious than, the original way that I viewed it. Because you have a lot of all these celebrities that have said that they tested positive for COVID and they don't have any symptoms and they seem to be fine and all that kind of stuff. But this guy is airlifted to a major medical facility. So I'm like, this is really far more serious. I mean, even though we know it was serious, just testing positive, but it's even more serious than we thought. So that caused me to just chill out with that kind of stuff. Like, I wouldn't wish death on, even Donald Trump. Like I wouldn't wish, that he died from a deadly virus, despite what kind of person he is. So I just want to get that out the way, issue that statement. And that's about as far as I can go. Like, I won't go any further than that. I'm not going to wish death on him. I'm not going to laugh or joke about his situation. It's very serious. And the thing is this, like the reason why a lot of people feel that way about Donald Trump, the reason why a lot of people see it as karma or say, won't he do it, is because for the longest time, this man downplayed the significance of this thing. There were audio tapes that were released where he made it clear that he understood how serious this situation is. He was talking to Bob Woodward about the crisis, about this pandemic. And he talked about how he basically downplayed this situation. So you had this man downplaying a very serious virus, a very serious pandemic, talking about it would magically go away. This man was making it seem as if there's something wrong with people wearing masks. He was mocking Joe Biden for wearing a mask. And he actually held mass events where many of the people attended those events. They didn't even have masks on. And there was no social distancing at a lot of these events that this man sponsored. A lot of these rallies that he had. He had people, I think it was Oklahoma was one of the first rallies he had during this pandemic, where he has large numbers of people gathered, and he's basically encouraging these people to come without wearing masks. And at one of these events, Herman Cain attended. And later, Herman Cain tested positive for COVID-19. He was hospitalized and he passed away. So all this stuff, he was downplaying the significance of this virus. Here we have like 209,000 people dead as a result of this virus. But when asked about this situation, Donald Trump said it is what it is. So because of this, people don't have any sympathy for him. And I completely understand why they don't. A lot of people just don't. They don't have any sympathy for him for all the previously stated reasons. So one of the questions that has been raised is about the impact on the election. Now, I've seen a popular tweet that has been circulating all over the internet where they're basically suggesting that this is some kind of hoax designed to help Donald Trump win the election. And I can understand why somebody would think that it was some kind of hoax or some kind of conspiracy to help him win, to help him get sympathy and all that kind of stuff. But I highly doubt that that's the case. I mean, that conspiracy would have to be so elaborate, so many people would have to be involved. And eventually it would come out that that it was a conspiracy. So I highly doubt that this is some conspiracy because, not too long ago, like a few minutes ago, as I said earlier, they had out a whole team of doctors from Walter Reed Hospital at a press conference talking about Donald Trump's condition. You mean to tell me that all those doctors are all behind some elaborate conspiracy to help Donald Trump win an election? To me, that just doesn't make any kind of sense at all. I don't think that makes any sense. And, I think that it would hurt him more. The fact that he is sick will have a bad effect on him as well in terms of this election. I don't think it's necessarily something that's going to help him. Because here you have a man who set a bad example, like he's failed to address this COVID-19 situation. Completely failed. Because of his failure to act, over 209,000 people have died. So you have that on one hand. And then because of his own personal failures to protect himself, to practice the very things that his administration says that people should practice, like social distancing, like wearing masks, he now has this virus. And he's put in a position where he can't campaign as aggressively as he would like. He's not going to be able to, I doubt that they'll have any debates unless they do them virtually. And that's possible. They may do virtual debates. But I just don't see this as helping him much. Now some people say, well, it will help him because a lot of people will be sympathetic just because he's sick. A lot of people rally around the president during crisis type of situations, or if the president is sick or ill or injured or something like that, a lot of people will rally around him and support him. So people are saying that that's how it benefits him. Another possible benefit is that this whole situation changes the conversation away from a lot of the negative things that were directed at Donald Trump. So instead of people talking about Donald Trump not condemning white supremacy, they're focused on him being sick, him having this COVID-19. Instead of them talking about those Melania Trump tapes where she's making these disparaging remarks about the situation with immigration and about having to do Christmas decorations at the White House. So instead of the media focused on that, they're now focused on Donald Trump having this virus. So in that way, it does help him. It helps distract away from his poor performance during that debate. Like, a lot of people were talking about how rude he was, how much of a disaster that debate was, and all that kind of stuff. But now the conversation is shifted primarily to a focus on his health. So in some ways, you could say that that helps his campaign, but I don't see it helping him. I think that that will help him among some people, but many people, for many of us, that will not help him at all. Um, and I haven't seen any kind of proof of this conspiracy that all these people are talking about. I think that conspiracy talk is, just more conjecture and stuff. Like, a lot of times, the conspiracy theorists just, they put out possible ideas without presenting any kind of proof at all that this is some kind of conspiracy. So those are my brief thoughts about Donald Trump getting this virus and about the impact that it will have on the election. I don't know if it's going to help him, but it seems like it will be more of a detriment than it will be a help to his election campaign, his campaign to be reelected. Um, so that's one thing that I wanted to mention with respect to this issue. Another thing is, like, this is just a reminder of just how serious this situation is with this pandemic. A lot of people are getting relaxed right now. A lot of people think, oh, things are back to normal. We don't have to worry about this virus. Like right behind my apartment complex, there's this football field. It's a part of a recreation center. And every weekend I see all these young people playing football and stuff like that. They're not wearing any mask or anything like that. They're just gathering like everything is normal, like it's a normal fall day or whatever, not realizing that we're still in this pandemic. This situation is far from over. So this is a reminder that to people like that this situation is still real. It's definitely real. I mean, I go to the gym, I have my mask on and everything, and you see some people just walking around with no mask on at the gym, like everything is cool. You see people on the street walking around like that. This pandemic is not over. And that's something that people have to realize. And as a lot of commentators have said, this pandemic is a threat to national security, because here you had a president who has been impacted by this virus. All those security guards that this man has couldn't protect him from the virus. All that, all those security people, personnel, and military personnel around him, all that stuff couldn't protect him from coming down positive with this COVID-19. So this virus is attacking everybody. It's not discriminating based on what color somebody is or what status they are or what office they hold or whatever. It's impacting everyone, even though it has a disproportionate impact on Black communities. It's impacting everyone, and people, the president in particular, should take this thing very seriously. This should be looked at as the number one national security threat. It's possible that the president may be incapacitated. They're trying to downplay this situation, but this man has drops in oxygen. He's taken 3 medications. He needs oxygen assistance. So this is very serious. It's possible that he may not make it through this situation despite the rosy picture they're trying to paint, because this is just the beginning stages of his infection with this virus. And I'm no kind of medical expert, so I won't speak on all that kind of stuff. But they say that this is the early stages. They say that this thing gets worse as time passes on. So this is just the beginning. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if he's going to be able to carry out his duties. It's possible that, the vice president may have to carry out his duties. And I'm really curious if the vice president has this virus. I want to know if he's been tested positive. I know that Nancy Pelosi's been tested. She tested negative for the virus. and Joe Biden has tested negative for the virus. So this is a very serious type of situation. Um, and I think that despite what's going on, despite that the president has it himself, I think that ordinarily that should wake people up to the seriousness of this whole situation. But many of these Trump's supporters, they're the ones running around here protesting against restrictions. They're the ones running around here saying that people shouldn't be required to wear masks and stuff like that. And Donald Trump, again, as I said before, Donald Trump was the one on here, on media and stuff like that, downplaying the significance of wearing a mask and mocking Joe Biden for wearing one. Donald Trump was the one that refused to wear masks. And, he was walking around without a mask and all that kind of stuff. And this is just like a lot of these situations where you have these heads of state, like the British Prime Minister, downplaying this virus, and then they get sick, and then they end up with the virus. So yeah, I just had to share my thoughts about this situation, man. It's just a shame that this man didn't take the necessary precautions. It shows you just like how irresponsible he is in a lot of respects, because he's walking around with no mask on most of the time, holding these events with no mask on and all that kind of stuff, interacting with all these people with no mask on and everything. So that's what happens when you don't follow basic protocols, the protocols that your own experts have called on everyone to follow. So yeah, those are my quick thoughts about that. I want to see what you all are saying in the chat. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to respond to your comments now. Shout out to Never See Come See. Shout out to Real Aaron Collins. Yeah, he's still at Walter Reed, Aaron. He's still at Walter Reed. He has not been released. There was talk of him possibly being released tomorrow and stuff like that. But according to these experts on CNN, like Dr. Sanjay Gupta, if they were to release him from the hospital, he said that it was possible because the White House has all these state-of-the-art, medical people and all that kind of stuff. So they could provide him with the medicine that he needs. Like they said that he needs to be connected to, one of those, the systems intervene, where they have the fluid running into your vein and all that kind of stuff. I'm blanking on the name of that. But yeah, so they said that he has to be connected to one of those. And if he's outside of the hospital, anybody interacting with him would have to wear like one of those hazmat type suits. So it doesn't even make much sense for him to come home from the hospital. More likely than not, he's probably going to stay, they said, for like 5 days, because the medicine that he needs to receive at the hospital is medicine that he would have to take over a 5-day period and stuff, from what I heard on CNN. So yeah, this situation is serious. Yes, he is still at Walter Reed. And the fact, like, again, as I said before, you don't send somebody to the hospital by helicopter if it's not a serious situation. This is a very serious situation, despite how they're trying to downplay it. Shout out to S. Wiseman. Yeah, so S. Wiseman said he'll survive. He has the best doctors in the country. Yeah, he definitely does have the best doctors and the best resources and all that kind of stuff. And it's likely, it's likely that that'll probably happen. He'll probably recover, and that's what I would hope would happen. He probably will recover. But, we can't say with certainty if that's the case, though. Yeah, it's just a shame, man. It's like, it's a serious situation, man. Like, it's a very serious situation. So the real Aaron Collins said God is most likely humbling Donald Trump. Yeah, I mean, if this doesn't humble him, I don't know what will. But he's an arrogant person. Like he's an arrogant person. Like despite all these people dying from this virus, this man that says it is what it is. Like I wonder how he would feel if if people were to say, "Oh, the president has COVID-19 and he's in the hospital," and the person says, "Oh, it is what it is, whatever." And that's just how his attitude when it came to all those thousands of Americans dying. So, as Wiseman said, I can't help to think that his illness supports the bigger plan to get us all vaccinated and off the dollar. Like, to me, like, there's no evidence of any of that conspiracy talk, man. Like, I don't see any evidence or proof of it. So I can't co-sign that kind of stuff, man. Like, before I will support anything, I need to have solid proof instead of just speculation. And too often, that's what we have with conspiracy theories. Yeah, I'm just curious about the impact of this election, like what kind of effect it's going to have on the election. Uh, because I doubt that debates will. I wonder about the debates. Like, are there going to be any more debates now? Because he has this contagious virus. Like, I mean, there's no way they're going to have him in a room with Joe Biden debating these issues under the circumstances. And then it's like it's going to be harder for him to campaign since he has this virus and he's in a hospital. So it's going to be harder for him to make his case. And I wonder what Donald Trump is doing, like with respect to his campaign. Like if he still has all these negative ads directed at Joe Biden, because Joe Biden decided to fall back because Donald Trump is sick. Um, but I wonder if Donald Trump decided to fall back with his negative ads. Um, and unfortunately, negative ads do have an impact. So I'm wondering about that. Like if Joe Biden is basically handicapping himself or, making it harder on himself to campaign against this guy by deciding to shut down those quote unquote negative ads and stuff. And I think that is I'll just provide a brief statement about my thoughts regarding Joe Biden's decision to take down those negative ads. I think that it is commendable. It is a sign of character, it's a sign of maturity, and it's a sign of class. He has class about him to take down those ads because it just wouldn't be a good look to have very negative ads personally attacking Donald Trump while he's in a hospital suffering from a virus that has caused a pandemic. So I think that was an intelligent move, but we'll see what happens, how it will affect this election. Shout out to Dave Bowman. Yeah, so Brother John said that this means that they let somebody with COVID-19 around the nation's leader. Yeah, so that's what he had to say. He said, check everything. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, anybody can have COVID-19. Like, people can be healthy, they don't have any kind of symptoms or whatever, and they can still have that virus. Any of us could be carrying that virus right now without even knowing it. That's why we got to take this situation seriously. Wear masks, social distance. Also, real Aaron Collins said there's an even stronger possibility that the election will be postponed. DJ Wiz has this statement that says Trump, and then it says the coronavirus is a hoax. Yeah, I think he did say, I don't know if he said something like that early on or not, but I know that he was briefed by his national security people and they told him about the seriousness of this virus. And based on those tapes where he's talking to Bob Woodward, you can tell that he understands that it's real, that it's not a hoax, it's not a joke, it's very real. But what he decided to do is to downplay it so that people wouldn't, quote unquote, panic. That's what he said. He didn't want people to panic because this is a very serious situation, man. It's like I kind of knew that this virus was serious, but I didn't really take it that serious until like my job decided to have us work remotely. You know, I had been hearing these stories in the distance about this virus, but I was like, whatever. Like I wasn't really focused on it. But that made it clear how very serious this situation is. Like no employer is going to decide to have all their employees working at home if it's not a very serious situation. You wouldn't have all these governors shutting down their states and shutting down business for a significant period of time if this wasn't a very serious situation. Um, I'm just looking through your comments. No, I didn't hear about that. Somebody said, did you know that he also had the virus earlier than when he announced it? No, I didn't hear about that. Like, I know that there was some speculation about when he actually tested positive. Um, so that's possible because I know that there was some question about the timeline for this thing. So I see that Dave Bowman said that Pence has tested negative for the virus. Hold on one second. Somehow this skipped all the way. Hold on one second. So, according to Dave Bowman, Pence has tested negative. Wendell said a lot of people are not taking this disease seriously. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. Like I was saying before, like every day I see people like not taking this thing seriously. And that's real troubling, man. It's really troubling because all that does is help spread this virus. So Case K asked if I think he's faking. No, I don't think he's faking at all. Like I really don't. I don't think that they would go through all this trouble for something that was fake. But I completely understand why people would think he's faking because this man is so dishonest. He lies constantly. So I could understand why people would take his word with a grain of salt. I completely get that. Yes, people. Case K pointed out that he's 72 years old and overweight, and those are things that make people more vulnerable to this virus. I mean, so this is not something to be taken lightly, because you've had all these other situations where all these celebrities test positive for this thing and they just chilling, like they're like nothing has happened. They're just, but they're like at home or whatever, but they're acting like they don't have any symptoms, they don't have any issues, and all that kind of stuff. But in this situation, this man had symptoms, like he has a fever, he felt fatigued, and they're saying that he's having difficult, like his oxygen levels are dropping. And this is just the beginning stages of it. That's something that you got to keep in mind. Yeah, so a lot of people are saying that they think he doesn't have it and it's a tactic to get votes, but I just don't see any proof of that. Yeah, it would be. This is a good point. DJ Wiz said we were better. We he said we would be better off having a video chat debate. That way, Donald Trump could be muted. Yeah, I mean that would be perfect because he wouldn't be able to talk over people. And they actually had a power to mute microphones too. They could mute his mic, even if he had, even if he was in person. They could mute his mic so that he wouldn't be able to talk. I mean, so they people wouldn't be able to hear him talk over people and all that kind of stuff. So hold on, I have to check this message that I received. I'll be right back. Hold on one second. All right, sorry about that. I got a call and I had to check to see what it was about. So oh, somebody said 74. Let me check. I'm going to check to see how old Donald Trump is. Hold on one second. I'm just Yeah, so he is 74. Yep, 74. And that's up there. That's So yeah, I mean, they talked about how this affects elderly people, how elderly people are at a greater risk when it comes to this virus. So this is no joke. Okay. So somebody said, "Why do you hate our president? Be respectful." Um, I'm not going. I mean, I could do a whole hour long video on why I don't have any respect for the president. But even in this situation, I'm being somewhat respectful because I could be going in. I said that I don't wish, this virus on anybody. Um, so let's be clear about that. But yeah, when you look at it, I can understand why people don't have that kind of sympathy towards him, though. I completely get it, as I explained earlier. So, so you got this person in here saying that the virus is fake. I mean, I just don't understand why people would think that at this late day, like why anybody this reasonable or intelligent would think that this virus is fake when you got over 200,000 people who died from this. Not only people dying in the United States, but all over the world. Thousands upon thousands of people who died. But you still have these people putting this idea out here that is fake. Well, ask Donald Trump if it's fake. He's in a hospital right now because of this virus. Hold on one second. I'll be All right, I'm going to have to close this out. I'll be back up with another live stream.